It is Wednesday morning, April 11th, 2018. And this is, big bump, Guy's Daily Drive. That's just what I do every day. And welcome to Guy's Daily Drive. Daily Drive, Daily Drive. Yeah, I try to mix it up, sing a little, dance a little. Kind of hard to dance in the car, though. I'll try it. How's this? Not so good. Plus, it makes people look at me funny as I'm driving down the road. Today, one of the things I would like to talk about is the ongoing rumors of Apple switching to ARM processors for the Mac. But before I start to talk about that, let me say a little something about the way I do this show. It's really simplicity itself. I would look for a really long time for a way to mount a camera or some kind of recording device in the car so that I could do something like this. Its original genesis actually was after the MacStock Expo of last year. I was talking to Mac and Forth host Carl Madden. And you should listen to that podcast, by the way. It's really good. And he was talking about coming over to the States and going to MacStock 2018, which coincidentally is coming up in July 21st and 22nd. Yeah, I know, I pushed the hell out of that. Mostly just because it's such a great time. So, the original plan was he was going to fly over to Washington, D.C., this is the area I live, and then we would drive together to Woodstock, Illinois for MacStock. And I thought, what would be fun would be if there was a way to capture video of both of us, both Carl and myself, as we were on this trip, telling stories, having some fun. And the trip from here to Chicago, I may end up not even talking about Apple's switch to ARM processors, but that's okay. The trip to Chicago from here takes, depending on traffic, somewhere between 11 to 13 hours. Now, it is possible, and I have driven those kinds of distances before, to drive it through straight in one day. I mean, I have in the past driven between here and Melbourne, Florida, which is the central east part of the state. I've driven from here to Gainesville, Florida, which is in the western part of the state of Florida. And I've driven from here to New York. I drove once from here to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, though that's a story for another day. Yeah, it is quite a story. So it is possible to go from here to Chicago, driving straight through. However, it's always nice when you have somebody else to drive it with, even if they don't drive. For the really long family trips that we've taken, Tracy is, of course, in the passenger seat. The kids were in the back. And we had entertainment for them so that I could concentrate on driving and, not worry about what the kids were doing too much, other than, making sure that they're still alive and that they get fed, regular bathroom breaks, and all the things you got to worry about when you have kids, because, they're so demanding. Kids. So, anyway, that was the plan, was for Carl and I, we were going to drive straight through to Chicago and record our wacky adventures as we were on our way. Unfortunately, well, it's not really unfortunate, Carl bought a house over there in the UK. And for those of you who have made such a grand financial decision, it can be quite literally taxing. So it's sort of up in the air. I honestly, I don't think he's going to be able to do it, and that's okay too. But the bug was planted that to do video in the car. So I looked and I looked and I looked, and I actually bought like a cheap GoPro knockoff. I couldn't even tell you the name of it, but it was pretty crappy. And so as I was kind of putting all this together, I tried different mounts. One of the things I bought, actually I still have it here in the car, and it does work in a fashion. And it was this right here. This is like just a little clamp. It goes onto the sun shield, and then it's got like a little clampy thing that you can put the camera in. But it's really quite limited in what you can, how you can aim it, because there's nothing that you can pivot, there's nothing that you can kind of move around. So I decided that wasn't going to work. And just on general principle, I don't like those like suction cup things that people use for they use them for cameras, they use them for the little easy pass highway toll things, and GPS, all the rest of that. To me, it's just never worked the way that I really kind of wanted it to, where set it and forget it and not worry about it. But then I found this thing on Amazon, and it basically I'll put a picture of it. I actually took a picture before I started recording this. It's a little thing that like slips over the rear view mirror, and then it's got a posable, is that the word? You can kind of move it around, and it's got a little clamp at the end that you can put a smartphone, or in this case, it's an iPod Touch 6 Gen that I got for free, which is another story for another day. But it works really, really well. And so how I record is with this iPod Touch. And it's got a lightning connector, so in theory I could put some kind of better microphone, to record my voice or what have you. However, for what I'm doing with this, the built-in microphone on the iPod Touch is fine. It records my voice, not in any great clarity, but it works okay. And the iPod Touch has, iPod Touch has two different cameras. The rear-facing camera is the better of the two, but the front-facing one is also HD. And I find that when doing this show, I feel much more relaxed about what it is I'm doing if I'm able to look and see that I'm centered in the frame, that there's not too much light from one direction or another. So I use the front-facing camera, and then I use the built-in audio. Scoot. having a dump truck issue here. Ooh, I think it's loud. So, yay, traffic. This is what you have to deal with when you do a driving show. So, that's basically how I record this show. I record it off of an iPod 6th Gen. I use the front-facing camera with a mirror clamp mount and the built-in microphone recorder for the iPod Touch. And if Carl does come over, what I'll do is I'll get another one of these clamps and I'll get another iPod Touch and I'll just mount that on the other side of the mirror. And it does, obviously it does take part of the mirror away, but with how I have the mirror positioned, I can still see everything that's going on behind me. And that's, I do enjoy doing this show and I do record it while I'm driving, but if you watch this show with any regularity, you'll see that I'm very rarely looking back into the camera, and it's usually when I'm either stopped or for just a brief moment. But what I don't want to do or recommend is distracted driving. And while doing something like this does take away, to some extent, my attention on driving, I don't think it's any worse than if I'd had somebody else in the car and I was holding a conversation with them. So, anyway, that's how I record the show. That's how I record both the audio and the video for the show. And I'm going to keep doing this. I really kind of enjoy it. These little 10 to 15 minute snippets. It's fun. And I hope you enjoy it too. If you'd like to get a hold of me, my email address is guy@mymac.com. You can also reach me at guy@mttfgo.com. My Twitter handle is MacParrot. If you'd like to help support me in the stuff that I do here, I have a Patreon page. You can go and look that up. Guy Searle, Guyserle. I also have a Ko-fi page. I keep saying Ko-fi. I don't know if it's really coffee or Ko-fi, but I'm going to keep saying Ko-fi until I know differently. And that is ko-fi.com/MacParrot. MacParrot. Or you can just look up my name. I'm actually having some problems with Ko-fi right now, but it's not their fault. It's my fault. Shocker, I know. So, let's see. MacStock that I was just talking about is going to be July 21st and 22nd. Tickets are currently, as I record this, $199 for both Saturday and Sunday sessions, which include the Friday night to get together, the Saturday Barry Fox Midwest Mac. I don't even know what he's calling it this year, but it's going to be a big to-do on Saturday night. It includes lunch for both Saturday and Sunday. I think there's a T-shirt, and there'll be other things that are available for a slight extra cost. But it's all inclusive as far as the content goes. All the sessions. Limited number of seats for the deeper dive. So if there's a deeper dive that you're interested in, make sure you sign up for that ahead of time. And you can get another $10 off, so your price would be reduced from $199 to $189 if you use the coupon code MTTFGO10 or MTTF bonus 10, which will take another $10 off, and so your total price would be $189. So well under $200. And if you've never experienced the Macworld Conference and Expo back when that was going on, this is your chance to be involved in something that's very, very similar as far as the community goes, because that's what MacStock, the MacStock Conference and Expo really is. It's a community event that just happens to be a lot of fun. So, anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you will join me next time, whenever that is, on Guy's Daily Drive.